Hello. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about account opening and setup. We're going to be focusing on accounting entries, chart of accounts, and entering opening balance. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the chart of accounts. Now, the chart of accounts is a list or a chart of all your accounting heads categorized into headings and subheadings. So to get to your chart of accounts, you use the accounting module. So over here is our module list. So we can just click on the accounting module and we see chart of accounts right here. The other way to get to chart of accounts is to use the search bar in the top right corner. All right, so this is your chart of accounts. Now there are particular things to your chart of accounts. Over here, you find the company drop down. This is where you can switch what company's chart of accounts you're looking at, depending on if the instance you're working with has multiple companies created on it. So if you click on this, you see all of the companies available in your chart of accounts and you can scroll through them. Then over here, we have the different chart of accounting heads. We have application of funds, we have source of funds, we have equity, we have income, and we have expenses. So let's start with application of funds or assets. So basically, these are your assets. So they're divided into current assets, fixed assets, investments, and temporary accounts. Current assets are assets that are easily converted to cash. So they include your bank accounts, your stock, your cash in hand, loans and advances to customers or employees, etc., securities and deposits, stock assets, and tax assets. All right, so fixed assets are more long-term assets, and they're more long-term assets, and they are physical most of the time. So they include buildings, capital equipment, electronic equipment, furniture and fixtures, office equipment, plants and machineries, softwares, etc., etc. Also, here we have investments. So if you have investments that a company has invested in, so this is investment basically. Investment basically refers to any mechanism that is used to generate future income. So if you have any of such, you can always create underneath here. Then over here we have temporary accounts. So here we have temporary opening. So this is like a suspense account. So if you have accounting entries where you currently do not know the um opposite accounts. So for every debit there's a credit. So if you know the debit but you don't know the credit, you can always put in temporary opening. And then when you get the corresponding account, you can always credit or debit the temporary opening and balance your accounts. So the next thing here we have is source of funds, liabilities. Liabilities refer to any kind of financial obligation that a business has to pay as at the end of an accounting period. So we have current liabilities. Then in current liabilities, we have accounts payables, which is where we have our creditors and payroll payables. Then we have duties and taxes, which we have our VAT tax and other taxes. Then we have loans liability. This is loans that the business has taken. So bank overdraft accounts, secured loans, unsecured loans, and here we have stock liabilities. So when we buy items but we've not paid for them, it's going to when we buy assets but we've not paid for them, it's going to be an asset received but not billed. And when we buy stock items but they've not been paid for, it's going to be in stock received but not billed. So the next item we have is equity. So equity refers to the remaining claim against the assets of a business after the liabilities have been deducted. All right. So if we click on the equity, we see capital stock, dividends paid, opening balance equity, and retained earnings. All right. So the next item now we have is income. Income is further divided into direct income and indirect income. So direct income is income that is directly attributable to sales and services. Indirect income is income that is not direct that is gotten from other activities that are not what the company is directly involved in. So probably income from the sale of byproducts or stuff like that. Then indirect, then the next thing we have here is expenses, which is further divided into direct expenses, which include stock expenses, and indirect expenses, which is your day-to-day running expenses. So this includes administrative expenses, commission on sales, depreciation, rent, sales expenses, travel expenses, etc., etc. So these are all the accounting heads in your chart of accounts. So to create um, a new child in your chart of accounts, you simply go to the accounting head. So let's say I want to create a new bank account. I go to application of funds. Since I know that bank accounts are assets, I go to application of funds under the current assets. I see bank accounts here. I click on it and I can decide to add child. Clicking on the add child brings this pop-up menu, which asks me for the account name, the account number, the account type, the currency, and the company in which this item I'm creating is under. So if I'm saying I'm creating a new bank account and the bank account's name is GTB, the account number is probably 0001. Then the account type, since this is a bank account, I'm going to have to specify that this is a bank account here. Then the currency, I can put the company's currency, or if I decide not to put a currency, it's going to be using the company's default. All right, so once I'm done filling all of this, I click on create new, and we can see that over here we have a new bank account called 001 GTB BB. Also, if I want to create a new expense head, so come to a new indirect expense, come to expenses, to the indirect expenses, and I click on add child over here, or I can click on new over here. So clicking on new, so I want to say the new indirect expense I want to create is let me see. So the new indirect expense I want to create is transportation expense. So transportation expense or expenses. The account type is it's an expense account, so I'm going to just select expense account here and put the currency as Nigerian naira. Then select this and I click on create new. So now if we go to our indirect expense list, we are going to see transportation expenses right here. Right. So that is how we create chart of account heads or line items in chart of accounts. One more thing you should know is that on successful creation of a new company in an instance, a default chart of accounts is created. So it's not like you're going to have to create every single line item one by one. No, the ARP creates chart of accounts for you. Then you can modify, edit, and just edit it to your own taste, to your own company, to what is suitable for your own company. All right. So the next item on our list is accounting entries and opening balance on accounts. So let's say you have a new company, or not you have a new company, you have a company has contacted you requiring your services, and they've given you, they're in the middle of a financial year, and they want to continue that same financial year on the ERP. So it's pretty simple. All you have to do is to request for the company's trial balance, because that is much easier, and that is much suitable to import the items. So as for the company's trial balance, and you're going to use the trial balance to debit and credit the corresponding accounts. Right. So to do that, what I'm trying to teach here now is opening invoices, creation of opening invoices, or yeah, creation of opening invoices. Let's say that's it. Yes. So to do that, we are going to be using journal entries. Journal entries. So to get to your journal entries can be found in the accounting module still, right under chart of accounts. All right. Or another way to get to journal entries is to use the search bar, type in journal entries. Journal entry, sorry, journal entry list. Then it brings you to the journal entry list page, and this shows you a list of all of the journal entries you have created on the system. So over here are filters. So here we can see that we have a filter for a company called Battery Brewery, the name of journal entry, the title, the entry type. All right. So let's create a new journal entry to show accounting entries and opening invoices. So click on add journal entry. So now it's going to ask you for all of this information, the entry type, what type of entry is this? Is it a journal entry? Is it an intercompany journal entry? Is it a bank entry, a cash entry, credit card, debit note, credit note, etc., etc. But this is an open entry since I'm imputing um, data that I've been given that is going to start the current financial year. I'm going to start on the ARP. So I'm going to select the journal entry type here as opening entry. Right. So here I select the company that I want. Also, you notice that immediately I selected the opening entry, it's populated all of my accounts. All the accounts I currently have on the system were populated automatically. All right. So select the company, select the posting date, and yeah, you start debiting and crediting depending on your trial balance. So this is the GTB, this is the bank account. So if I want to say probably I have like a million in the bank, I just click on the debit side and input a million. That's a million. Yes. So if I have accumulated depreciation, depreciation is an expense. So I'm going to be debiting this as well. So let's see, depreciation I have is 20,000. Um, so all in all, I just keep on debiting and crediting with the accounting knowledge of assets and expenses are debited, income income and liabilities are credited, stuff like that. So I just use that accounting knowledge and I input the figures according to my trial balance. So you can just follow the information on trial balance. So if I say I have a million in the bank, if my trial balance says I have a million, under my trial balance, if there is the GTB bank account and there's a debit of a million, I'm just going to do the same thing here. GTB bank account debit of a million, the accumulated depreciation debit of 20,000, the second bank account I have probably is an overdraft of 10,000. I just credit this here. Then buildings, the total amount, the total value of all the buildings I have. So I debit that here. Capital equipment, debit that. Capital stock, cash. Just do the debit and credit entries. And when you're done, you click on save. Now, in case not all of these accounts have balances on them, you can always select the ones that don't have balances and probably just delete. So once you delete it, it's not going to be showing up there anymore and you can continue with your opening entries. Then when you're done, over here, it shows you your total debit and your total credit. You can always put in a remark, probably being opening entry as at the beginning of the year, etc., etc. Then once you are done, you click on save, and after clicking on save, it will ask you to submit. So I'm just going to do a demonstration here. So I'm going to leave this and I'll delete the rest. So I'm going to say I have a million in this bank account and I'm going to be using my suspense account. So temporary opening, I'm going to be debiting a million to temporary opening as well. So once I'm done with this, I just input the remarks being opening bank balance. All right. So once that is done, I click on save and I submit this. Let me really change the date. So let me make the date the 1st of January 2023 and I click on save and I submit. So now this has been submitted. So if we check our bank account, these bank accounts, we are going to be seeing that we have a million naira in the bank account. So to check that, we can either use the chart of accounts or we can use the general ledger. So let's use both of them. So if you go to chart of accounts, and we refresh this. So let's just refresh this real quick. Okay, if we go to the current assets and we go to the bank account, we can see that in this GTB we have ₦1 million. Also, if we go to the general ledger, report general ledger, and I want to see, okay, 2022, I want to see um GTB. So I want to see GTB bank accounts. I can see here that the opening balance here was ₦1 million. So the balance I have in my GTB bank account is ₦1 million. So with this, we have been able to successfully um, talk about accounting entries and chart of accounts. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in another video. Cheers.